So, back down on the Thames again. Not had a fish for a couple of weeks, a barbel. I've had lots and lots of bream. And I've had a few this evening as well. But we have managed to get the barbel, and it's a good one. It's £13, 15 ounces. What an awesome fish. I need to look at the photos because that mark in that fin, that cut in that fin there, looks familiar. It looks like a fish I had a couple of weeks ago at 13.1. I'll check the photos, but look at that on the spam, big chunk of spam. And that bait's been there for about an hour and a half, I'd say. Awesome fish though, eh? Let's get it back. Happy days though. What a fish. Well, morning. Back on the River Thames, doing a bit of chub fishing. And as you can see, it's a bit fresh this morning. It's -4 degrees and we're expecting a bit of snow, so already starting to question my sanity, but not been on the bank for a few weeks now, not since I had that nice barbel, which was incidentally a repeat capture of the one I had a few weeks ago. But obviously the weather's pretty good for chub fishing really, and I'm quite looking forward to this session. It's a nice stretch of small tributary really of the Thames. It's like a loop off the main river, and I'll be fishing the main river and the little backwater as well. But as you'll see, it's a nice little stretch of river. So let's give it a go, shall we? Alright, so the rig is float stop, small cage feeder, liquidized bread, a couple more float stops, and they're good because you can adjust very easily the length of your hook link. £8 straight through to size 6 hook, and a big old bit of bread flake. Simple. Well, I'm no longer on that stretch of river. It's now a couple of days later, and essentially what happened was I fished for about 3 hours and fell in the river. Got absolutely soaked, obviously. I was chest deep in the water, and actually it's a little bit scary because I had to scramble up a quite high, steep, wet riverbank. Got filthy, soaking wet, and just had to basically pack up and go straight to the car and get home before I got hypothermia. So it's a bit of a warning for me. Basically I was just over-leaning to pushing a bank stick into the hard ground, and it slid into the ground unexpectedly easy and I toppled into the water. So anyway, like I say, learnt the lesson, and now we're out after the chub again on the bread flake and on the cheese paste, and I've walked probably about, I don't know, half a mile. I've baited up maybe 8 or 9 swims with 2 or 3 little balls of cheese paste on the way to the furthest point, and now I'm fishing my way back peg by peg. got a lovely roach. It's a really nice fish. Look at that. Beautiful fish. Come down the river for a bit of chubbing. Unexpected guest, but lovely, lovely fish. Quality. So it's just after Christmas now, and I didn't get out that much during December at all. I did a few short sessions after the Chub, but conditions just weren't very good, and really struggled for a bite, let alone a fish. And I also dabbled a little bit with some pike fishing, but same thing really, not the right conditions for it really. The river's been sort of quite high and pushing through and coloured for a lot of the month. So I've just given it a few days. We've had a bit more rain. The river's risen a little bit, but it's lost its colour, or losing its colour anyway. There's a little sort of tint to the water. I'm out for a few hours in the evening. It's a pretty mild evening for this time of year. It's sort of 11-12 degrees air temperature, and we've had all the rain for today. I don't think that rain's been particularly cold, so I'm hoping that I've got a chance for a barbel this evening. I'm fishing on the downstream rod. I've got a heavily glugged boilie and just a very small PVA bag with 4 or 5 crushed boilies in it. And the upstream rod I'm fishing tight to a snag in some slack water. And I've got a very large piece of luncheon meat on, about the size of a matchbox. So if I'm going to get a bite on that upstream rod, it's likely to be a decent fish and likely to be a barbel. Alright then, well, it's about, I don't know, 5:45 time in the evening. So I've been fishing for, I don't know, less than 2 hours. And I've had my first fish on the downstream rod. That's on the heavily glugged boilie, wrapped in some paste. And there we go, barbel number 1 of the session. First one since Christmas, and it's an 8-pounder, a low 8. But let's get this back anyway, because it goes to show that they are out there and they're feeding. And we might be able to get another 1 or 2. Because like I say, it's a nice mild evening this evening, and I've got plenty of time. Awesome though. Let's get him back anyway. So that one was caught on a heavily glugged boilie. I've got 15mm, and then I'm wrapping it in paste. Size 10 hook. Beak point. I like the beak points just again to try to protect the sharpness of the point of the hook as it's kicked around against the gravel and the rocks on the bottom, especially in this floodwater. But as you can see, quite a big old blob of paste on there. I've actually gone up to a 6-ounce lead. It just buys me a bit more time as those leaves gather up around the lead. That extra ounce buys me a little bit more time before the lead starts moving around. So down on the Thames again. The river's been flooded, and it's for the last month or so really, it's been pretty challenging fishing. And finally the water's started to drop and those slacks are starting to appear. And got this nice 4-pounder for my efforts. Put up hell of a scrap, very tight swim, very snaggy swim, and it gave a great account of itself. So I have rested it before unhooking it and weighing it because it was knackered, as was I. But anyway, got it on the bank. So I'd get a picture and then put it straight back and move to the next swim. But lovely winter fish. Well, they do like the cheese paste, especially when the light starts to drop. This is sort of 10 minutes after that other one from the next swim along. And the bait was in the water for, I don't know, 5 minutes. Again, another snaggy swim. I think they're just in the slacks, in the snags until the light goes, and then they start sort of coming out and exploring a bit more and feeding more aggressively. But not a big one, but another fish, and hopefully we'll get a couple more. Let's see. Okay, so I thought I'd show you how I changed my usual cage feeder rig that I use with the bread flake and liquidized bread over to fishing with paste. So I'm using the normal rig that you've probably seen on other videos, and I basically take the clip off the swivel bead that I use a Drennan swivel bead. So I'm taking that little clip off, and I've got a bit of line all ready to go with a couple of stitches on it as a link ledger, and I tie a loop in the other end so I can actually just loop this straight onto the swivel bead. If you struggle to get the loop through the bead, I just use a baiting needle. Makes it much quicker, less fiddly. You have to forgive me, my fingers are a bit numb because it's a bit cold out here at the moment. There we go. So that's the link ledger, and then you can just easily adjust the length of the hook length. I'm using a size 8 at the moment just because the bites are a bit finicky, to be honest. Normally I'd be using a size 6. And then what I like to do is get some crust off a piece of sliced bread, and I press it down really hard, squeeze all the air out, fold it over a couple of times, keep squeezing, and it goes into, it sort of almost starts feeling a bit like I don't know, cardboard or something. And I get a small piece and I push that onto the hook, making sure that the point of the hook's clear. Get the paste, wrap that around the line, and then slide it down. And the reason I do that is just I find that the bread, not only is it fluffs up in the water, increases the attraction a little bit, visual attraction, it tends to hold the paste on the hook. So if you're prone to using paste and it coming flying off the hook when you're casting, try this, give this a go, because actually I do find that it makes a bit of difference. And as you can see, I'm just making sure that the point of the hook is kept clear. So there we go. Well, I'm on what, 1, 2, 3, third swim, and managed to get another nice chub. This one's a high 4. It's actually £4, 10 ounces, and it's flapping around because it's been in the net whilst I've been sorting out the scales and things. But another nice fish though, isn't it? On the cheese paste, just topped off with that little bit of flattened out bread I used just to keep the paste on, and it was a real tentative bite. I could actually sort of see the tip moving gently as the fish was picking up the bait and testing it. It was quite a sort of crafty little bite really, but I let it develop into something that was hittable, and yeah, big explosion. I'm fishing next to a snag, so it was a bit tight, but managed to get it out, and yeah, lovely. Anyway, let's put it back and move swims and see if we can get another one. Excellent though.